Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this one. Here we have Bretten, who went from 800K a month to over 2.5 million a month in the last 90 days. Insane, the greatest case study we've ever had. I had the privilege to share with you today. Bretten, thank you for hopping on.
Thanks for having me, Dante.
Beautiful. So I want to overall start with because there's some absolutely crazy numbers, and you were already at 800K a month before joining us. How did you get into ecom? How long have you been in the game for? And how did you even get to the 800K per month mark?
Yeah, man. So I got in the game around like 2020, around COVID. I was a college student at the time, I've always been relatively entrepreneurial, had like a coaching business, had a couple other endeavors prior to that, been, selling duct tape wallets since like fourth grade. So I was always doing something, kind of had that mindset. I guess, COVID hit, everyone was stuck indoors, and I thought selling online sounds like a good idea. So I pursued my collegiate academics simultaneously with trying to learn how to, do e-commerce.
Sweet. So you got into mid-COVID, like many watching probably have. Um, and then how long did it take you to go from like whatever, just learning initial product testing to actually
Yeah.
starting the brand that you're at today?
Yeah, I took like a different approach. I know a lot of people like, kind of have that throw spaghetti at a wall till it sticks type method where they'll test like 20, 30 products. Like I really wanted to have with my finite resources, I only had like, like 700, $800. So I really had to like make it count, right? So instead of like trying to test a bunch of products with the minimal money that I had, I tried to, just learn from a lot of YouTubers and, just watch as many videos as possible so that I had, this much knowledge and this much experience. And then, the experience would catch up over time. And so I've only failed one brand and then my second brand, which is this one today, kind of took off.
Damn,
Yeah.
crazy. That's insane. Definitely complete opposite of mine. I failed for like 3 years straight. So you definitely took it a lot better than me because I definitely was throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall trying
Yeah.
to make it work. And so you were doing this during school. And I started mine during school too. And so I'm curious to know, one, how did you balance it? And then two, because you were working off a finite amount of money to make this work, like how did you actually think through the testing phase? Like, did you set a budget per product? You cut it early? Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, so I'll start with like the how did I balance it? I really didn't. Like it was just like, I kind of signed up for this. I knew like pursuing entrepreneurship with my academics was like a win-win because either, I was self-sufficient after I graduated and could pursue it as a full-time job, or I on my resume had more initiative than my, colleagues. So kind of took it as a win-win. And so that's the way I approached it. In regards to balance, there was lack thereof because, I was a, full-time student, double majored actually, in business, and then also while trying to learn how to build a business, right? So there wasn't too much balance and, aside from extracurricular.
Sweet. You were good up until the last part it cut out. But I got the whole balancing part of it. The question that cut out at the end there was, how did you go about using the small amount of money to go with testing? Just because
Yeah,
that part
yeah.
cut out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so essentially, like I kind of just analyzed the amount of resources I had, right? I had minimal money. So the way I looked at it was like, I need to sell something that have low cost of goods and high perceived value so that I can test something on low budgets, and maximize the potential of it. And so I kind of analyzed my situation and immersed myself in a product category that kind of met that criteria.
Were you always, I would say, strategic or analytical like that? Because I was, when I first started, I definitely did not think anything about margin or anything. I was like, here's a product that's selling. Let me just rip it, right, and run it. And like, I definitely did put zero thought into how I should approach it. Which once again was the wrong way to do it because when I did that, I actually find it started seeing success. But you had that from the start, and it clearly paid off. And so is that something you always kind of just had?
Yeah, I mean, as I kind of touched on a little bit earlier, I mean, I took a different approach instead of like that shotgun approach. I, you know, watched a ton of YouTube videos, so I kind of um, absorbed their thought processes and like kind of took that same approach, I guess.
Yeah, sweet. I mean, I should have done the same. I definitely should have done the same. Would
What you
have been
mean, bro?
a whole
You're
lot
a killer,
further.
bro. You're a killer.
Well, I appreciate it. Um, and so let's fast forward a little bit then. You started this brand, this one started working. Now it's still a big jump from starting this brand with 700, $800 in your account to the first 800,000 in a month before you started working with us. And so what were the biggest roadblocks you had throughout that revenue phase? What revenue did you get stuck at? And then what was the big one you had that pushed you through it?
Yeah, so there's this channel, I don't know if you heard of it, but like App Lovin', right? So everyone was talking about it. We saw a huge performance boost with, App Lovin'. So obviously on that channel, it's video ads. What we'd been doing a lot of is like static ads. So, we needed a robust like creative sourcing system to not only diversify our content strategy, but be able to, um, run at high efficiency on a lot on every ad channel, right? So we kind of doubled down on our video ad creatives, and so I had before joining your program kind of a specialized need. I just needed to build like a creative sourcing system because I saw the opportunity in the leverage that we can get out of that. So, I joined specifically for that reason. I saw based on what you kind of teach on YouTube, and just by knowing you, we have a few mutual friends. You know, I knew it'd be a good fit.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know how many people watch this and know about Lovin'. I would assume most do by now. But if they don't, it's you run ads on Candy Crush, essentially,
Yeah,
to a bunch of middle-aged women. And yeah, and it's unskippable, and they have to watch the entire ad. And it's very, very nice for a man like Breton, who is
no
pushing a
social media
big volume there.
management,
Yeah.
no social media management, nothing. It's very streamlined.
Yeah, absolutely printing. I would say one of the biggest things too that I want to mention that you're too humble about, but like your operations and whether it be on the team you have for the ad output specifically for the products you're running, or even just like the operations logistics you have to build a moat, is dialed. So I'm gonna get into it, expose everything, but like you have a process in place there that people replicate the front end, they just can't replicate it, and they won't know how because they can't see it and they never will see it.
Mhm.
Um, and so walk me through the thought process without obviously giving too much detail away, but how did you build a moat through operations?
Yeah, I mean, there's been several circumstances that I reflect on in the past that kind of led to that moment. But ultimately, it's like if I were to break down the thought process, it's like identifying not only like highest leverage opportunities, but like your competitive edge, right? And then if there's something that of those two that mesh together, like focus on that, right? So for us, like in our product category, like product tests are a huge leverage opportunity for us. And um, so we had partnered with manufacturing facilities, um, and made a robust system to kind of, and I'm trying to be careful,
Yeah, I
like what
know.
I say
You're
here,
good.
try, make a robust system to effectively manufacture items quicker than all of our competitors. In an extremely cost-effective manner. A lot of people in our category are sourcing their products, so they're competing in what you'd call a red ocean. We're more in the purple to like bluish ocean where we're manufacturing our own products. We're, you know, very attentive to the market and like what resonates with our, target demographic and kind of, manufacturing our own items and
Yeah.
serving it to that same market.
Yeah. And because like what year are you on with the brand right now?
I mean, this would be year four. So, or,
Right.
in January, it'll be year five.
Yeah. So likewise with us. So you guys are on year four. I want to make it clear for anyone who is watching this. There have been many, many brands and replicas who have come into his niche, his product category, who have come and they have gone very quickly. Um, and they can't see the back end. They can't see the competitive edge that he has strategically built out in the back end. And whether that may not be operations for you on the marketing side, like know what you're good at, know the competitive edge you need to build out. And ideally, that edge is somewhere where it's hard for people to replicate. Um, if you can achieve that, but then you'll have such a big moat and competitors just simply will not know, and they never will know. And like you said, you put yourself into this purple/blue ocean.
Mm. I think what's important to touch on is like, I feel like the information that's really regurgitated in this space, which I do agree with to an extent, if you want to get to those like 500K a month, revenue targets, is like you can replicate what people are doing and get success. But if you really want to, get to those higher levels where you're doing like multiple seven figures a month in revenue, extremely profitably, like then you want to differentiate yourself. And like you don't need to like reinvent the wheel. You can just take, generalizations based off what's working and then do it slightly differently. That makes you different and, kind of like I said, differentiates yourself amongst, your competitors. And I think that small little switch, like that small change, can pay dividends in the future.
100 million percent. I could not say it any better myself. And it's like, 80% of the clients that end up joining the program are at that like like you said, like 200 like 500K-ish range. Like call it that range is the most common where people join. And it's like they rip something that's working, they have it, but nothing's proprietary to them, and they only have a very temporary edge, typically in marketing, that's only going to last so long until the next people come in and rip them. And if you don't make that transition to doing exactly what you said, you'll come and go just like everybody else. Whether
Yeah.
that's 500K a month and gone or 2 million a month and then gone, it will be gone sooner or later if you don't build out infrastructure and actual system in place where you have an edge. So I said you
Yeah.
said that perfectly.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's always something you have to think about no matter like where you're at in the game.
100%. Now, you mentioned the reason you joined, you had a very specific goal/slash reason when joining, which was the creative side slash video team side. How do you actually put a process and system in place to pump out high quality video ads? So, one, I would say, how did you know that was the bottleneck and what you needed to fix for you to scale? And then, why did you decide to work with us versus go elsewhere?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, um, kind of heading into 2025, I like to focus on metrics. The big metric that we wanted to focus on was total addressable market, right? And so there's multiple ways we can do that, right? Taking a product and, segmenting the messaging of that product as many times as we can to be able to address our item to as many people as possible, right? So that's one way. Another way on the ad side of things is like creative diversity. That's something that like a lot of insiders in Meta talk about. It's a lot of, you something that a lot of, advertisers talk about now too, is like you want to diversify. Like you can have the same messaging, but even diversifying the content format of that creative like helps, you know, limit the frequency and helps you, advertise to as many people as possible, right? So for us, we had a really efficient static ad system, and what we were lacking was a, video ad creative sourcing system. So I went ahead and built the static ad sourcing system. It was pretty efficient, but then we just needed, video ads, right? That we could leverage on, pretty much any channel now. So, um, yeah, essentially, it was just a total addressable market strategy. Like that was one of the inputs that could allow us to show our stuff, show our brand to as many people as possible. And why I went with you guys, you know, obviously mutual friends, but aside from that, I saw what you were discussing on YouTube. It's obvious that you had, the sufficient experience, in terms of not only hiring, but managing and leading, right? So there's like, multiple segments of like building a team, right? Because you got to hire, but then you got to manage, but you also have to lead, right? So, um, I could tell by based off what you were teaching on YouTube that you had those, all three variables. And, like I said, I know a few people spoke about you and heard good things. So,
Good. I'm glad we're on the street. We're on the street still good. So that's good.
yeah,
Um,
dude, your credits through the roof.
Good, good, good. And so you joined for that specific reason. You knew it was a bottleneck. I mean, which clearly it was. I mean, you're big on app loving and you had no video ads going out there. So that was pretty telling. You cracked that, you scale to the moon. And so whether it's within building a team or management or building systems or hiring or even outside of that, what were some of the biggest wins, that's learnings you had? when working with us that once again took you from 800K and helped you get to over 90K a day in 90 days, which is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, even I got really busy when we were doing the hiring process. So I mean, I even disclosed to you, I was like, look, I'd love to do the group calls all the time, but I know once this process happens, like it's going to be pretty busy. So, on the few couple group calls that I have with Demos, his business is pretty similar to mine in many ways, obviously very different, but the way it kind of operates and what he focuses on is very similar to how I should be focusing on my business. And I picked up on that very quickly. So, implemented some changes that he recommended in terms of focusing more on the LTV, the back end. So that was like a big win for us. You know, got some new people on the team. Um, in regards to other big wins, we were able to increase our average order value 17% without any hit on conversion rate. That was a huge win for us. So allowed us to spend a lot more per acquisition or per customer. Um, which basically allows us to outcompete all our competitors even further. So, I mean, there were just several wins like stacked on top of each other. We were pursuing multiple projects simultaneously with the creative sourcing system to the new, improvised backend to the new, you know, funnel offers, right? And so
Yeah.
all those kind of collectively came together to propel that like parabolic scale.
Yeah, 100%. I know you were already cooking a lot of things and you joined, you kept cooking. Um, but essentially for everyone's listening, once again, it's he joined, and one of the main things I said on the initial call was giving connections to agencies and stuff, but the back end needed to be improving more returning customer revenue. So he took action on that. And once again, props to you because one of the main things of everyone who gets crazy case studies is you move quickly. It's like you join, you actually listen, and you move. It's not like a lot of people go back and forth. They're like, oh, but what about this? And I'm like, just listen and like take action and like trust me. And then you do, and it works. So I thank you for that because you were amazing to work with. Really, really enjoyable. Half the time we're just like chatting and having a good time. It was
Of course,
sweet.
without a doubt.
Um, but yeah, so improving the back end, huge win on AOV. Um, Without going into too much detail, it's hey, you got this, get a better version. Um, Crushes, absolutely crushed for you. Revenue per visitor on that flow was insane. 17% of increase, pretty much pure profit margin. Makes sense why
Yeah.
you had a big increase. You were crushing statics and your operations were dialed with the competitive edge that you have there with product launches, knowing that we needed to double down on video to address the TAM and scale further. All these kind of combined, crack them all at once, more or less, and then you skyrocket from 800K a month to 90K a day.
It's pretty crazy, man. Honestly.
It is pretty crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, we're a Q4 oriented business too. So, if we're,
Yes.
and normally October is like the benchmark for next year, excluding growth. So if we stay stagnant, which won't happen, that'll be our baseline for next year, which will be, obviously pretty amazing. So, it's just
Yeah.
excited for the future, man.
I'm excited for you. And once again, for everyone watching, I don't know when you're watching this. We're recording this mid-October. So we're not even in November and December yet. And it's a Q4 brand, and he's already scaling to 90K a day. So I already know November Black Friday is going to be just astronomical, is the word I'll use,
Could
for
be
you and the brand.
could be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And so next question, guys, off the back of that, 90K a day, really good margins. How does that change your life personally, if at all?
I mean, look, I still drive the same, car I did since high school for now. You know, that'll change very soon. I mean, I try not to let it change me. Like it just amplifies who you are. So, I mean, I definitely as from a personality perspective, don't let money change me. It's not, everything in life. It's very important, enables a lot of freedom. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. I just blessed, grateful, happy that, my, you know, getting over all these limiting beliefs in the beginning and just pushing through for several years on end. I think the most valuable part is, who you become along the way, and the money is just a byproduct. So, you know, um, still the same. Obviously, lifestyle upgrades to come. Um, been living well below my means for a while now, and so I'm ready to, you know, um,
Absolutely.
responsibly have a little bit more fun.
Yeah, and well deserved. I mean, the whip has to come sooner or later. It's got to come.
We're in discussions, you know?
Yeah, good, good. Um, and yeah, no, I like what you said. I think it's very true. And something I want to point on there is like you have people who are getting into this game for lifestyle, and like that's the sole purpose.
Yeah.
And you can use that as your main motivation. You can get pretty far, don't get me wrong, but you and your team won't really ever see full potential compared to the people who are just doing it because they want to build cool shit and build a big business that they just enjoy. Which,
Yeah.
like, I know you're very far on that end. It's like you're 4 years into this brand. If it was lifestyle, it would not be the same business it is today. Like, you focus on operations, all these things. So you just want to build a big, huge business because that's what you like to do and that's what you want to be respected for, not the whip and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I mean, it's cool to have certain desires like a nice car and a cool house and whatnot, but I mean, like you said, that just can't be your whole premise of why you do something, right? If you want to get good at something, you have to like it, and you have to have good intentions, right? If you are in it for the money, you'll cut corners, you won't build a good like team culture. What I think is more profitable over the long term is like building a good team culture and loving your team and like, building something where everyone wants to collaborate and empower each other to grow, not just within the business, but whether it's
Yeah.
health, fitness, whatever it is, like, we all have to inspire each other and grow together. So I think that's something that's extremely important and like, you know, more profitable over the long term.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and the other point to that too is if you're just doing it for lifestyle, when you hit that, you get comfortable and it's like, well then what? Versus you weren't doing it for it. So you get that along the way, but it's like, okay, well, job's not done, right? And then on top of that, once again, like in very simple terms for anyone listening, it's like he built a real business, not a pump and dump drop shipping store where one person messages to poach a video editor and like they're gone instantly because there is no culture and there's no real business or moat or anything, right? You don't get to a brand that does 90K a day that's 4 years old going to its fifth year by not building real business, right? And so think long term, and I think you are a perfect example of that. And even though, once again, maybe throughout your time of struggling at low revenue months or whatever it may be, being stuck at a middle a month or whatever it may be, and you go on Money Twitter and you see this new 16-year-old who just did 100K yesterday, even though that store's done in 6 months, like once again, who could actually exit it? Who ends up being more profitable in the long run? And who has something sustainable where your team's built out, you go sit on the beach and you're still printing 90K a day versus slaving away at your desktop, making VEO3 ads yourself, slaving away. So
For sure, man. Yeah, comparison is the thief of joy, right? So what I have to say about that is like just stay off Twitter, man. Just like focus on yourself, like stack small wins, focus on momentum and you know, focusing on small wins every day, whether it's getting up at a certain time, exercising a certain amount of times per week, like you'd be shocked about how momentum plays into all aspects of your life. Like if you're healthy, if you're mentally sharp, your body will reward you. And I really think like the momentum that you get, through work ethic and all these things like plays out to every aspect in life. And so, my kind of root message is just like stay off, stop comparing yourself to others, just you versus you mindset and be momentum oriented, stack small wins and those small wins will convert to massive wins over time.
100 million%. Now, to finish this off, my last question I got for you is where do you think you'd be at the moment with your business if you didn't join the consulting?
It's a great question. I'd say less than half of where we're at now. I'd say around 40K, 35 to 40, Yeah, 'cause we still had stuff in the works, Dante, don't get me wrong, but
Of
we
course.
wouldn't be, you know, cooking like we are now. And I think yeah, you guys definitely helped out a lot with that. Just even having, people like a community or network in the same space that you're in just helps. Even if, you know, our businesses are polar opposites of each other, just kind of, you know, talking over certain concepts or ideas and brainstorming, can help, convert your train of thought and how you think about things and dissect certain problems in your business and then, apply it to the context of your business. I think it's helpful no matter what level you're at.
100%. And yeah, once again, I'm not asking the question to sit here and take credit for every dollar of the increase as much as I'd like to. Um,
Do it.
yeah, no, you work hard.
Do
You're
it.
very humble. You're too humble. You are absolutely dialed. And I was happy to play a part where I knew I was needed, right? You knew a specific problem. I had the answers. You came. I helped out, taught you things here and there, and then you put two and two together, what you were already doing, and then you see the increase. My job isn't here to take brands from zero and teach them the basics. I feel a very specific need, right? At that stage when you're growing, when you need management, or you need certain things to just help speed up the process from the things I've gone through. Um, and next steps from here is now you got to launch a course and buy a Lamborghini and buy a couple mansions and run a Ponzi scheme.
No, you got to rent the Lamborghini. You know what I mean? You got to rent it. You can't own it. Because you know what these gurus are doing. They're smart. They're witty. They're renting these things. So, we got to live well above our means. Be in debt and be super insolvent, so that when we can't pay our staff,
Absolutely. That's the
doesn't
game plan from
matter.
here. I mean, if you do 90K a day, is it really real if you don't have the Lambo?
Exactly. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess not. I'm still riding my Jeep Wrangler, so but I like
exactly.
it like that. To be honest, I like it.
Yeah, no, you're not qualified, disqualified from my books.
Yeah, I
Um,
like the secrecy of it. It's
No, that's
fun.
good. That's good. Anyways, thank you very much for taking it, doing this interview with us.
Of course.
If anyone was listening, once again, hope you took away a good couple gems. It is, it seems out of reach until it isn't. 800K a month to 90K a day in 90 days is insanity. It just goes to show once again, when you are dialed, when you stay focused on the mission, you build something good, the results will come.
Can I touch on that before
Please,
before
no,
we
of
hop off?
course.
For anyone who's still listening, I mean, it is so possible. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, Dante and I are no more capable than you are. All it takes is just like in a massive amount of persistence and just the ability to challenge the status quo. You're gonna have so much pressure to conform to a certain route in life, like, but if you have that burning desire in your heart to um, do something different, whether it's entrepreneurship or, whatever it may be, it just like, please do it. Like, it's like, again, it's unattainable until it isn't. And if you just are momentous and stack small wins and, have a rigorous mindset and you just push through all the limiting beliefs, all the self-doubt, all that adversity, like I promise you, Dante are no more capable of that. We're just examples of people that just push through those mental hurdles. Like, that's literally all we are. And I think anyone who's out there listening that has that passion inside of them, please go do it. You'll thank yourself.
Beautiful. I don't even want to add to it. You said it beautifully. We will call it there, and thank you very much, sir.
Take care, guys.